It was clearly, Benjamin Wilson was the #1 player in the country. No one came close. It wasn't a close race. It was Benji and the rest of us.
People are still asking some of the same questions or wondering some of the same things that we wondered way back when. You know, how good could this young man have been? What could he have done? How far could he have gone?
At center for the Wolverines, a junior, 6'7", number 25, Ben Wilson.
If you haven't seen him, you're in for a treat. 20 a game.
Dribble, Wilson, Duke. Simeon does what they have to do. If it's a break, they'll break. If it's patience, they'll use patience.
No stopping philosophy. I am the pottery of greater hands.
He was like he was playing with kids.
He had this wonderful jump shot from the perimeter. They never seemed to have any effort. Come up here and just flick that ball about 15 feet in the air with a perfect heart into the basket. Nothing but net.
To the truth of journalism. Have my ups and downs, pay my dues and earn the wisdom. Concerted vision of broadcast symphonies. And with ESP then had an epiphany. Said the gift to me, unapologetically. Yeah, I got that dog in me, still I got a pedigree. Ahead of my time, ain't no one ahead of me.
Benji was smooth as silk. There was a kind of a smoothness about it. Sweet.
Benjamin Wilson was the #1 player in the country. No one came close.
For the second pick in the 1988 NBA Draft, the Indiana Pacers select Benjamin Wilson from the University of DePaul.
When Benji first got drafted in '88, it was like a prophecy had finally been fulfilled. You had this kid from the south side of Chicago who endured so much violence and chaos during much of his upbringing, to the point where many of his peers, unfortunately, didn't make it. To go from the #1 high school prospect in the nation to a successful college career, and now the NBA, you couldn't help but feel like this kid was destined for greatness.
We called him Magic Johnson with a jump shot. 6'8", 8.5", can do it all. I mean, when I say do it all and do it gracefully, I mean, with the greatest of ease. I mean, and it looked so pretty when he was doing it. I mean, it was smooth, it was silky. It was just, you had to have that camera to capture that moment. I mean, he was that type of player.
I knew they had booed when they made the selection, so I knew there was going to be expectations and everyone was going to be looking at me, but, you know, I wanted that.
You know, the Pacers GM, Donnie Walsh, had this long-term vision that Benji and Reggie would lead the Pacers to multiple championship runs as the best 1-2 punch in the NBA in the near future. Many members of the media thought that Walsh was out of his mind, but when Reg and Ben actually shared the court together, you saw almost immediately the potential that they had.
He wanted to dominate, and he wanted to be the king on the court. Young, athletic, wanting to just destroy people. That's what it was.
I'd never seen a guy that big could run like that. I mean, he was incredible on the wing at running the floor.
His uniqueness came from his ability to be, would you think he would be a gross motor skill guy? When I say gross, I mean big steps. Everything's big, boom, because of his size and strength. And you think of a fine motor skill, you think of Steph Curry, a guy who moves in like this. He was a guy who had both at his size. He could shoot the basketball, he could handle it, he ran the lane. He wasn't just a big, gross motor skill guy. He was a guy who could do fine motor skills at such a big size. That was his uniqueness.
When I see Shaquille O'Neal, I think of Benji all the time. The personality, the charisma, everything, the showman, the articulation. Yeah, Shaq, has a lot of personality just like Ben.
He understood how to win. He was all about winning. He made people around him better. He made people around him better at 14. So his potential was scary.
High cross and lob and Rivers. Yes, come on now, come on. They love it. That was spectacular. Yes, it was. Listen.
And I just think that this guy was better than a lot of people really don't understand. I think that with the Barkleys, all these guys, the Karl Malones, the Tim Duncans, this guy was one of them.
The Boston Celtics went 56-26 during the regular season. First in the Atlantic. They were on a roll at one point. But they had their difficulties at the end of the season. And they did end the regular campaign, losing 4 in a row, while Indiana, a club that kept getting stronger. The Boston Celtics, in a terrific series, have defeated the Indiana Pacers 124-121. They won it in 5.
The season for the Indiana Pacers is going to come to a close, and for once again, the Indiana Pacers have failed to advance past the first round of the playoffs. They've never made it past round 1 in their franchise history.
I thought the Pacers were a solid and competitive team in the East during this time. The problem was that they just could not get over the hump. The Bulls, the Knicks, and the Cavs were all better teams during the early 90s. You just had a feeling that the Pacers were eventually going to break through. But to do that, they had to slay the dragon. If Indiana were David, the New York Knicks were certainly Goliath.
8 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Starks. Yes! What a move by Starks, who was able to sky to the basket.
What a spectacular move.
Really, the East was going to run through New York, Pat Riley, and those teams. And I had already had a run-in with the Knicks. And that hatred was already built up for me. The only way that we were going to beat the Knicks is I had to find someone else who hated them just as much as I did.
Even though the series was 2-2, I never got the feeling that the players on that Pacer team thought they could beat the Knicks. If you have gone into a building and won 2 times in 33 tries, why would you think you could win there?
You're going against the media capital of the world, you know? I wanted Madison Square Garden.
Reggie Miller, wants the New York Knicks so badly, then, he's got us, and that's all has to be said.
That's a 2-pointer. And Reggie Miller in an animated discussion.
New York's so much better than Indiana. I'm like, this is for us. That's what I was saying in my head. This is for us.
To conclude matters.
I kind of blame myself for that Game 6 loss. If we were going to move on to the finals, we had to close them out in that game.
Going back to Madison Square Garden, it's going to be tough.
And the Knicks now lead by 9. Antonio Davis, as we see Starks hit the 3 off the steal. Starks. John Starks taking advantage of the sparking the Pacers to overtake the Knicks. However, the Knicks able to hang on and come away with a 98-91 victory.
Now you're asking us to win another game in a place where we had only won 2 or 3 games in the last 25, 30 years. If you want to make the next step and you're supposed to be the guy, you can't allow that to happen.
Headed to the NBA Finals to go up against the Houston Rockets beginning Wednesday at the Summit. And they are celebrating here at Madison Square Garden. It was a terrific run for the Indiana Pacers.
I watched the Pacers play the year before, and I'm just thinking, man, if I could play point guard for that team, we would have a legitimate chance to win it all.
New York, Madison Square Garden. You know, those guys thrive on big games, the big stage.
It's the Garden, it's New York. You're just so fired up, you can't sleep, you can't eat, you just want to play.
Game 7, reputations are on the line, careers are on the line, seasons obviously are on the line, and this is win or go home.
It mattered. The game mattered. That night mattered.
I always thought that 1995 was the coming out party for the Pacers and Benji as a leader. When you lose to the almighty New York Knicks in 7 games, most teams don't recover from that type of devastating loss, historically. But the Pacers wanted that challenge. They wanted to be taken seriously as championship contenders.
That's the 4th block for Patrick Ewing, who comes back on the offensive end. Now against Starks, and the Knicks have switched off Harper to Miller. It does not mean
both boards in particular.
Miller. Oh, how he got that off is certainly a mystery. John Starks all over him, and Reggie Miller has had the top. Starks, yes, that's a 3 for John Starks. It's down to a 2-point lead, 30 seconds remaining. Pacers 97. The Knicks shot clock at 1. Johnson. And it's Nick Ball. They call for time with 5 seconds remaining. The Knicks just used their final timeout. Indiana with 2 left, so the Knicks...
He's not throwing it to somebody else. It's his job to score them. It took a matter of seconds, but sometimes you see something that looks like it's going in slow motion.
And it was a scary thing watching the clock dwindle down as the big fella went into the paint area.
I remember thinking, he's going to score.
I drove, laid the ball up. I see the ball hit Budu.
It went in and out and rolled around off the back iron.
And it's all over. The Indiana Pacers have defeated the New York Knicks 97-95 to take the series in 7.
Can't believe this happened. Here in New York, can't believe this happened.
But it just would have been nice if it would have been the conference final.
With a steal. Look at him handling in the court. Oh, my goodness. Shaquille O'Neal, what an athlete. Are you kidding me? Look out long. Look out.
What is great, and that's what makes team sports the best, the camaraderie, because you win and lose as a team. Because, you know, the adulation that we just kind of expressed about 8 points in 9 seconds. We were on the losing side of that.
After that great series against the Knicks the year prior, you kind of had the sense that the championship window was closing on Indiana. And make no mistake about it, Benji was a top 5 player in the NBA around that time. But how seriously can you take a player if the team is underachieving in the biggest spots?
The lob to Shaquille O'Neal.
That's what he's got to do. He's got to get out and run, get down the floor, find him in early.
And Orlando goes into the conference finals for the second year in a row.
Final second, the Chicago Bulls have won the 95-96 NBA championship. Make it 4.
I remember telling Ben that we all needed to get on the same page in order to win at a high level. I mean, Ben was clearly the team leader, but I felt like we had individual agendas that were getting in the way of the team's success. We just had to get back on track, and sometimes that's easier said than done.
And the Knicks dribble it out by a score of 104-95 and have advanced into the Eastern Conference semifinal.
For the first time in its brief history, the United Center is the stage for a 7th game in the NBA playoffs. The Indiana Pacers won 3 ABA titles. They've never been to the finals in the NBA.
We were confident that we can dethrone the Bulls. We felt like we were just as versatile. We had Rick Smith, the Duncan Dutchman, Mark Jackson, one of the greatest assist guys the league has seen. We had a squad.
That series with Indiana was the hardest playoff series we had. They were big, they were strong, they were physical.
If I had to pick a team that gave us the toughest time in the East, you know, Indiana was probably the toughest outside of Detroit.
With the steal, and Chicago with the lead. And the NFL Finals, for the 6th time in 8 years, go the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship, and it's their 2nd three-peat.
You know, that loss to the Bulls was devastating because I knew in my heart of hearts that we were the better team. That whole summer, all I thought about was getting back to that point, knowing that if we had one more shot, we would definitely get the job done. Back in '99, during the lockout, I remember Benji and I were just shooting around in the gym, and I told him that if we were going to take that quantum leap as a team, he had to be the guy who leads us to the promised land. I saw the work that he put in every single day. After the lockout had ended, we won our first 12 games, and the rest is history.
After 6 months of negotiations and a shutdown that threatened the entire professional basketball season, the National Basketball Association and the Players Union have reached an agreement to end the lockout. The deal was finalized late tonight between league officials and the National Basketball Players Association, bringing an end to the labor dispute that began last summer. The lockout forced the cancellation of hundreds of games and delayed the start of the 1998 to 99 NBA season. Commissioner David Stern confirmed that both sides have agreed to the framework of a new collective bargaining agreement. The deal reportedly includes a rookie salary scale, limits on individual player salaries, and adjustments to the league's salary cap system.
Benjamin, after averaging a near triple-double and leading your team to 33 victories, you have earned the right to be the most valuable player. Congratulations, 1998, 1999 NBA MVP, Benjamin Wilson.
The Indiana Pacers on their way to the NBA Finals for the first time in their history.
After we beat the Knicks in the conference finals, I had to stress to the guys that it was not over yet, because I knew that the Jazz would be our toughest opponent by far. They actually swept us during the regular season, but the one thing that we had on our side was the reigning MVP, Ben Wilson.
Malone, lots of room. Got it. Pass to Wilson. Into the... Oh!
And their balanced effort at both ends has hushed this crowd.
Ed, you said the key word there, balance.
Follows it, no. Rebound Hansen on the weak side. Out of the pack comes Les. On his left, Bailey. On his right, Malone.
That's what you watch for with Karl Malone. He runs the court as well as anybody in basketball.
Stockton, nicely done. Off the fake, John Stockton. He has 10 points. Getting it in, down to 10 seconds. Jackson taking the shot and to give Indiana a 2-point lead with 5 and 2/10 seconds to go. 4 lead changers, the final 13 seconds.
So we're back in Utah, game 6, fourth quarter. We were down the majority of that game, actually. But midway through the fourth, I remember Ben just taking over the timeout. And forcefully, he said, "Just give me the ball. I got this." And from there, history was made.
Where will Ben Wilson be today at our age right now, 40 years old, 42 years old? I believe would have had a great basketball, NBA basketball career. He loved, the game of basketball.
He would not have just been a pro. He would have been a great pro, and that's the sad thing about it. His potential is never realized.
And the Indiana Pacers are the new NBA champions.
A big thank you to all you fans who made it out.
They go on the road and take care of business, and now the championship is theirs.
To be on the road, to silence the crowd, winning the championship with all of it on the line. What an incredible performance.
But the #1 seed advances to the second round.
We were the first ABA team to win an NBA championship, man. In many ways, I felt vindicated by the previous shortcomings we experienced as a team because of what the championship represented. That championship wasn't just for us. It was for the entire state of Indiana. I know this may sound cliche, but Ben Wilson was a one-of-a-kind player, and there will never be another like him.
People are still asking some of the same questions or wondering some of the same things that we wondered way back when. You know, how good could this young man have been? What could he have done? How far could he have gone?
Like, he had that presence, he had the personality, he had the looks, everything you could have to be a superstar.
It was clearly, Benjamin Wilson was the #1 player in the country. No one came close. It wasn't a close race. It was Benji and the rest of us.
Things are moving fast. Brighter days will soon be here. Take it from me, someday we'll all be free. Yeah.
There's no question that everybody wanted Ben Wilson. He was the best high school player I ever saw.
He could do everything that the pro players do. We knew that we had to work hard because he had so many other outstanding offers.
I think he helped push Simeon into a more global, nationwide type school, basketball power. I remember our senior year, we thought we were world beaters. We can go anywhere and play anybody, anytime.
Promise unfulfilled. I think nothing haunts us like that. You could see the promise, you could see the talent, you could see the way people were drawn to him.
Speak on this city and the impact these people have had in shaping this city. The Harold Washingtons, the Jesse Jacksons, the Oprah Winfreys, the Michael Jordans, the Roger Eberts, you know what I'm saying? The roles that they have played in shaping the city. Ben Wilson is in that conversation. There's always gonna be that had he lived. And that had he lived is the prefix to the suffix would have been the greatest cat to ever come out this city.
Yeah, this one right here. Dedicate this one right here.